The Scott Fish Bowl is almost here, and we set the scene tonight with our SFB 14 mock draft. All this and more, it's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy, call him Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. And yes, this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your destination for both some feel-good and refreshing takes on fantasy football and NFL betting. It feels like Kenny Chesney, boys. It feels like summertime. It's hot as shit out. Scott Fish Bowl season in full swing. And tonight, we're going to break down the tournament with our mock draft. And if you've noticed, we have a new theme song. We got some new digs here on the YouTube side of things. My name is Seth Woolcock, and I'm hyped to be sharing the stage tonight with a Texas boy, a light ranching son of a bitch, Eric. Raise the roof, roam off. Eric, how we doing tonight, brother?
Man, doing a lot better after I got that new intro dropped on me cold. That thing was sick. I was over here vibing out the whole time. I want you to just kind of hit it midway through, and I can go backstage and enjoy it.
Okay, maybe instead of an outro, we'll roll out with the intro. Appreciate you being here as always, brother. And we're also joined by a complete wild card on the internet, certified shit sir at This Guy Sucks NFL, coming to us live from the Jardigan Studios, Chuck fucking Bass. Chuck, how we doing tonight, man? Thanks for making some time for us.
Oh, guys, there is nothing I wouldn't cancel for you. Wedding engagement photos, funerals, court appointments, that stuff can all be pushed back. Tonight, we're doing Scott Fish Bowl. I'm sorry I didn't show up like Justin Timberlake. It looks like he took all the drugs on the planet. So I'm coming to you a little bit more sober than I typically would, but not too sober.
Cheers, brother. Absolutely. I got the Cane beer koozie tonight, heading back to my hometown for alumni weekend, and I'm absolutely jacked about first time I'm going to see my friends in about 6 months. So I'm going to be dangerous this weekend. As of tonight, though, I'm going to be locked in because we're going to go over the SFB 14 scoring and strategy. We're also going to be breaking it down further in our mock draft, and we're going to reveal a new segment later on in the show, a little off the top. And behind the scenes, we're joined by a Ginger spokesman, a proud Yinzer, IUP alumnus, Mr. Kyle Scott. Kyle, how we doing tonight, brother?
We're doing fantastic. We're starting off the new season really strong. I'm feeling pumped. I'm really excited about everything we got going on. It's the highlight of the week, boys. It's the IBT podcast.
Let's go, Kyle. I appreciate you being here as always. And I appreciate people jumping in the chat even before we're going live tonight. Sven, what's up, Sven? He's going to be drafting from the 110. Didi coming over from the 19th hole. What's up, Didi? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And we got Wendy, who's going to be mocking with us as well. First time from her actual position. Erica hanging out with us as well. What's up, Erica? So good to see you. Thanks for making some time for us as well. We got one of the new members of IBT over here, the staff, Sam Wise, joining us. Buy and sell you, saying Lake House Cooking, making the rounds. Yeah, Dee Dee is one of our resident IBT family members over here. She's always making rounds on the channel. Albert popping in. Good evening, IBT. Albert, he's usually the first person to drop a chat, and he was like 7th today, and he was still a minute before we went live out. Eric, that's where Albert is tonight, man.
Yeah, Albert's usually got those quick fingers, but tonight the chat was raring to go before we hopped in.
You guys
must be all of these mockers that are ready to get in here and mix it up.
You guys got Elon's porn bots jealous of all the traction you're getting in this chat right now. This is some next level stuff.
We'll probably get some later on. Kyle, make sure you're moderating that as the night progresses, my friend. You never know what happens here after dark at IBT. We got Nicolette, another one of our new members of the IBT staff. She's going to be helping us on the social media side. This girl works at fucking Fox Sports. Have no idea why she wants to work at IBT, but we greatly appreciate it. She's going to be working with, she cuts up Colin Coward, Nick Wright's shows during the day, and then at night she deals with our bullshit, Eric.
Man, I don't know what you're talking about. This whole IBT family is a vibe. Like, happy to have you here, Nicolette. awesome work over at the big flagship stations. But welcome to
Yeah.
the IBT family. More excited to have you in here cutting it up with us.
Hell yeah. We got Angie as well. What's up, guys? And hanging out with us. All right. I think I got to pretty much just about everyone. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. Want to remind you as well, if you aren't involved already, think about coming to Draft Night Out. If you're going to be in Canton, Ohio in a couple of months, Draft Night Out tickets flying off the shelves right now. That is our fantasy football draft party in Canton, Ohio. Chuck, you actually made the intro video, man. You were in the intro video from Draft Night Out. That's how much you were getting down last year with it, man.
That was one hell of a time. You even had Brandon Ayuk on the card. So topical. I mean, This is just like search engine optimization at its finest. It's clear that working at Fox is a springboard to being on IBT. So that's clearly the direction.
You guys making a lot of sense over here.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. And Eric, we're doing the Taysom Hill jersey giveaway for the first 100 tickets. We have about 14 spots left. We've sold about 86 tickets so far. Heinz Ward's numbers. So if people want a little Taysom Hill action or a chance at him, now's the time to get over there.
Yeah, that is a highly coveted jersey, especially with some news out of Saints camp that we might see a little bit more Taysom Hill to start the season than we expected. So get in there, be one of those last 14, but more importantly, get into DNO, cut it up with us. Maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself into the IBT cut for next year, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And easiest way to go over there is there's a link right here in the description. Click on that, go to the website. And if you want to support us, if you like this type of content, give us a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And boys, let's go ahead. We got a lot of shit to get to tonight. So let's crack it open here with Back in the Day.
They ain't make them like this way back in the day. Took a shot, couldn't miss way back in the day. Couldn't predict how it could all change. Don't you ever forget how far we came. How far we came. Never forget how far we came. How far we came. Remember how it was way back in the day.
All right. And Back in the Day is our way of kind of looking back, reflecting on past Scott Fish Bowls, lessons learned, and also kind of moving forward a little bit here, trying to apply that to a mock draft here in a little bit. If you guys aren't familiar with Scott Fish Bowl yet, it is one of the largest fantasy football tournaments in the world. It brings together analysts, fans, and celebrities, all in the name of charity. What charity, you may ask? Fantasy Cares. It's the charity that tries to inspire others to make some type of charity component in your fantasy football league. Scott does a great job with this. It's been around for a long time now. That we're going into the 14th season. And now there are live drafts all over the fucking world. So whether you're down under, whether you're across the pond, or whether you're in Mexico or Canada, I'm pretty sure there's pretty much a Scott Fish Bowl draft everywhere. So fellas, looking back at your SFB track record, how's it been for you, Chuck? How have you fared so far? Have you played in Scott Fish Bowl before? And what's it looking like for this season as far as division and slot that you're drafting from?
Well, this will be my 30th Scott Fish Bowl between myself and my burners.
Okay.
Not one of which has managed to get through the initial rounds. It's been a train wreck. I get a little bit too rambunctious. I go to the Cincinnati live draft.
Okay.
And I'll be going again this year. And I'm just like,
that sounds like a problem.
You guys know, like, if there's a bar there and I'm drafting, like, the bar is the focus and the draft comes second.
Sure.
I could pull together a little bit this year and get my head out of my ass, but it's just too much fun. I can't contain it. I just let a little too loose.
Eric, what about you, man? How has your track record been in SFB, and what do you have cooking this season?
Oh man, you're gonna make me recall something that is more than 45 minutes ago, so it's gonna be dicey. This is my 4th season in Scott Fish Bowl. Last year was my first time not making the playoffs, unfortunately. My best finish thus far was in Scott Fish Bowl 12, where I made it to the final 30, like the second to last cut down day. So pretty deep run overall. And since then, I've been trying to press a little bit. I've been chasing that deep playoff run and haven't exactly had the outcome that I wanted. This year will be my first year live drafting Shout out
Nice.
to the Houston live
Oh.
draft, going to be out there on July 6th. So much like Chuck, going to be getting to know the bartender quite well and maybe drafting a somewhat decent Scott Fishbowl
Bottle
team.
service wars. You got to bring it back.
Right?
I'll tell you what, I must have had like the definition of beginner's luck in Scott Fishbowl. I played in the 10th and the 11th edition and made some deep runs in the playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinals. And then the last 2 years have been absolute shit shows. We'll go over my draft here in a little bit, but yeah, the drinks were slinging at the Philly live draft last season, man. And maybe that got in my head a little bit. And no one sniped me either. I told Katie on the way home, I said, I think that's the first draft I've ever had where I've never got sniped. And I'm like, well, there was I was telling Kyle that before the show. He's like, so there was a reason you weren't getting sniped. No one wanted those players. Absolutely. Absolutely. We got Wendy saying, I'm going to the Chicago live draft.
Nice.
I've heard Chicago's a great time as well. I've never been out to the Windy City. We got Kush hanging out with us tonight. What's up, Kush? Good to see you, man. We got Rachel in the chat as well. What's up, Rachel? Thanks for joining us. All right. And let's go ahead and let's break down this SFB scoring for this season. Man, Scott always dials it in. 6 points per touchdown for quarterbacks. Also 2 points per conversion. And then going for passing, 1 point for 50 yards. In the rushing and receiving realm, 1 point for 10 yards, 0.5 per first down, 0.25 per rush attempt. So running backs, once again, elevated this season. I was pretty high on RBs last year in this format. As for receptions, everyone's going to get at least half a point for a reception. And then receivers are going to get a full point now for receptions. And then tight ends are going to get 1.5 points. Tight ends also get a double bonus with an extra point for a first down. Kicking, they'll be back in it as well. I hope. I'm gonna be honest, boys. I fucking hate the kickers. I can never get it right. But it is 3.3 points per extra point made and 0.1 points per field goal. Chuck, do you have any better luck with kickers than I do?
I mean, everybody knows that if you're not targeting Harrison Butker to be a kicker, I mean, then you're living life wrong. You're going to the wrong church. You're going to the wrong barber. No, I hate kickers more than probably anybody in the world, except for themselves. They hate themselves as well. I usually just steer clear and take the last one, and it ends up being like Cameron Dicker or Tyler Bass in the house.
Okay. I got stuck with Greg Zuerlein last year. I think that was my frisky Jets love, and that did not help me. That did not help me one bit. Special teams also going to be a factor this year. I was looking back at some of the scoring applied to last year, and like Rashid Shaheed was a top 10 receiver in this scoring. So it's something to keep in mind. We might even see a little bit more of returns being more integrated into giving you points each and every week with the new format in the NFL. Eric, any big takeaways for you as you look at the SFB 14 roles and scoring?
Yeah, I love the way that he's incorporated return yardage into it, especially as it coincides with the changes to the NFL kickoff return rules, right? Like we're going to see a lot of guys getting more opportunity to return kicks. So to your point on Rashid Shaheed, right? Like kind of introduces a bit of a wild card factor. We don't have super good reporting on who some of those returners are going to be. Obviously, you're looking for players that are going to contribute at their position beyond that. Yeah. So just another way to kind of attack it. And the additional point per first down at tight end, I think that's going to create even more fervor around the position, right? Tight ends fly off the board in this format.
Sure.
In this format, I think we're going to see that be even doubly so the case now that they're not only getting the additional half point per reception, but also the additional point per first down. Those tight ends are going to be steamed all the way up. So might be hard to get some of the premiums that you're looking for unless you have an early draft pick.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe I could do some type of Mahomes Kelce stack and looking at the ADP. Yeah, Kelce's going still at the turn, right around LaPorta. Chuck, any big takeaways from you that Eric didn't hit on?
No, I mean, pretty much covered all the good stuff. I mean, I'm glad you guys touched on, it's fun to have a wrinkle like the kick return stuff, but in reality, when you look at where they're going to line up, I mean, the return or the chasers are going to be lining up on the 40-yard line. So you could be looking at 1 to 2 points like return if you're lucky, depending on how many they even want to do. So People are starting to chase it. You see a name like Raheed Shaheed, doing so well. But in reality, the teams are going to approach it differently this year. We don't even know who they're going to have as their kick returners with this new format. So I just think with the timing of the draft being, a lot of these taking place when they are, it's not too good to count on the kick returns.
Okay. And as we transition here into pulling up some draft boards, I do want to remind everyone, if you guys want to get involved with Scott Fishbowl 14, you still can. Go over there to fantasycares.com. We have it linked in the episode description, and donate if you can. If it's in your means, donate, and if it's not, just make sure you guys are sharing everything you can on Twitter. We greatly appreciate everything they're doing over there. All right, and let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull up my draft board from last season just to kind of give you guys a quick reference of what we're potentially looking at here. I was drafting from the 10 slot. I wanted McCaffrey bad. That was like my only good pick in this draft. I went McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. I really saw an edge in stacking up and doing a little bully running back early there. I let the quarterback position kind of get away from me, though. In doing so, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones were the guys I was relying on. And then, Eric, I just made some terrible picks. Cam Akers, 7th round. That's probably the worst pick. For maybe the first time I've ever taken Cam Akers. And Kyle Pitts at the 410, also terrible. So anything you can take away from my last year's draft, they're just like, other than me being a complete idiot? Oh, you're muted as well, Eric. Sorry.
Interesting. This is the first time that I'm seeing your Scott Fishbowl 13 draft, and I like the direction you were heading with this, honestly, right? Like, there were some guys that definitely came up short for you, right? Like Richardson got hurt. I was also in the Anthony Richardson camp last year, so I feel that pain very deeply. Cam Akers was a big flop for you. Dotson, Charbonnet, Williams, really like your last kind of 3 picks.
Yeah.
Really tanked the depth of this team. But in terms of, looking at how this board comes together, everyone's going super heavy, double quarterback early, or at least one early. Yep. You're seeing a lot of tight ends come off the board, and then you got old Seth here hitting the zag when everyone's zigging, right? So I kind of like the approach. It feels like you sort of you came up on the wrong side of variance with some of the outcomes for these players, and there's probably a couple of guys that you had ranked a little bit higher than you maybe should have.
Yeah. Chuck, you were also riding the A-Rich train. Any thoughts we be back in on Anthony this season?
It's just fun to see, like, I did Bijan A-Rich on my turn as well. I was at the 12th spot. But then to see like your tight ends lasted so much longer, I had to double tap. I tried to be a cool guy. I was like the girl who like made her own dress for prom. It was so weak. I did Darren Waller and Dallas Goedert at my next 2 picks. And I mean, obviously we know the lack of success that they had. I'll be all back in though. I mean, I don't know if you listen to a lot of the coach speak that's been going on this year. I'm super encouraged for the running back bounce back.
Hell yeah. Everyone telling us where they're going to be drafting here this year. Erica and Sven both heading to Dallas. Eric, are you close to Dallas? Are you drafting in Dallas as well?
I am drafting in Houston, as I said earlier on the show. Thanks for listening, Seth.
Texas City, they all
sobriety check.
Yeah, right. I, for whatever it's worth, I grew up in the Houston area, so I am not looking for any reason to go back there. But unfortunately, that was the only draft within reasonable distance that did not coincide with previous travel plans. So would have been going to Dallas to pour it up with Sven and Erica, but instead I'll be doing just that in Houston on the 6th.
Dame heading to Vegas. Damn, that's awesome. I do not think I would do well in a Vegas live draft. I don't think Chucky would do very well either. I'm just gonna be honest.
No way. That's like 12 Rothies drafted. If it's at a Vegas draft, it's going poorly.
We got Steve in the chat saying Seth is entering his beard era. Listen, man, I was very consistent with my shaving days, and now I've gotten all out of whack. So it has been a minute. I apologize, but yeah, at 5 o'clock shadow era, we're cutting it up there. I'm trying to be like you, Eric.
Man, I maybe I'm not looking close enough, but I think you got a minute till you're in your beard era, my guy. Let that thing breathe for a little while, and you'll be there.
All right. We got Angie saying she's heading to San Francisco live draft. That would be a cool one. That would be I'd be getting elevated out there. I would. There are some legal things out there that I would definitely be partaking in. All right, though. Let's go ahead. We're gonna flip over to our mock draft. We appreciate everyone who's tuning into the program and helping us out drafting tonight. We got Dick Sickles from the 101. I'll be at the 102. Don't love that draft spot, boys. Honestly, I after the scoring came out, I was regretting that a little bit. We got Sam Wise at the 103. We got Katie at the 104. We got Nicolette the 105. Eric, you'll be holding down the 106. Chuck's going to be right after him in the 107. Rachel, looking forward to sniping him. We'll be there at the 108. We also have Erica at the 110. Sven at the, Erica at the 109. Sven at the 110. And Angie at the 111. Wendy at the 112. Richard Sickles is on the board. It's Josh Allen, boys. He's the pick. So I know I kind of fucked up. I feel like if I wanted Josh Allen, I should have been the first pick, unless I was doing the Philly live draft again, heading to Washington this year. I am really cut between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts, I think, is the conventional pick here. The rushing upside points per carry really makes me want to lean Jalen Hurts. I'm worried he might regress a little bit in the rushing department because they brought in Saquon, though, to be honest with you folks. So I am a little bit worried. I think Mahomes has a little bit more upside, and it was only a couple years ago that Mahomes was the top scorer here. So I'm going to take Mahomes and just see how it plays out here and see if I regret it or not. I probably have less chance of stacking with his top target in Travis Kelce, but maybe I can potentially stack with an Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice down the line. If I wanted to do a stack pretty much with the Eagles, I'd be having to go at 211 AJ Brown. So I'm going to go Mahomes, and then McCaffrey goes 3, Jalen Hurts goes 4. Eric, who are you hoping falls to you? And any thoughts on my Mahomes pick? Is that a reach right now? Because he's really going around at like 5.0 ADP right now.
Yeah, I will not mention who I want to have fall to me, as he is promptly drafted, none other than Lamar Jackson. So I've got myself a bit of a decision right off the rip. You know, I'm gonna YOLO ball this one. You know, put my fears and my lessons from last year aside. And I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson right off the top. I think that this is a player that scored a ton of points over the course of 11 quarters. Shane Steichen is a genius. Look, I'm trying to win a 10,000 person tournament, right? I'm gonna swing for the fences on this one.
You would, wouldn't you? That's just all kinds of dirty dog and stuff right there. I added a whole paragraph about how all this great stuff about Anthony Richardson out the window. All right. Well, you guys are going to put the onus on me here, and I'm just going to do a little.
Yeah. This is what you get for taking my 7 spot. Chuck and I are both 7 strong. So I had to get as close as possible to that spot, and glad to be sniping Chuck all day long.
I will say too, I don't know why, but I don't have a pause button right now. So cool. Chuck, I apologize. There was a pause button. It disappeared on me somehow.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was trying to come up with a more fun pick, but I just had to go chalk because the first 3 were, or the first 6 picks were just kind of like where you could get a little bit more fun with it. I don't know. The back of the draft to me is always, I don't love when the power is taken out of your hands, but I mean, CeeDee Lamb, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. You're going CeeDee Lamb at the 107. CJ Stroud goes off the board at the 108. We got Erica taking, I don't know, Tyreek Hill. Okay. So, Chuck, who are you hoping? I know you probably don't want to say it out loud, but can you give me a position? Are you hoping to maybe take your first quarterback now that you have kind of zagged and gone wide receiver early? Or do you think you might go unconventional here and wait on quarterback like a lot of people did last season?
So I've got one player at each position kind of tentatively ranked in my head that if he's there, I'm going to go there. I'm not afraid to kind of tip it. Like what I think I'm going to do this year is I think I'm going to handle all the onesies off the rip. Okay. And then just go nuts with it. So, you know, whether that's your 1 wide receiver, your 1 running back, your 1 tight end. I've got therapy on next Monday. I'm going to talk to him about why I value the quarterback 2 in Superflex so little, and if that's ever going to change. And he's supposed to have some pamphlets on some stuff on 4chan that I'm going to check out. So we'll see how that goes.
I appreciate your therapist for doing that for you, man. Scampers in the chat saying tagging along for the Vegas draft. And then drafting in LA. All right, the Scampers family gonna have a busy July. Love to see that. All right, and then Jerry saying he's gonna be at Cincinnati live.
Cincinnati, let's go.
Okay, all right.
I'm prepping right now. I got my Cincinnati mug.
There you
little
go.
pregame action.
Jeremy saying Chuck about to walk off the set after that. Chuck, you were expecting A. Rich to fall to you. I'm gonna be honest. I think you were.
That's supposed to be like the first sexy pick of the draft is Anthony Richardson. Anytime before like maybe 109 is kind of like a whoa moment.
Precisely why I picked him. What are we talking about here?
Me. Literally just Kia boyed me.
Didi in the chat with the $20 super chat. We greatly appreciate Didi. Thank you as always. Didi has to be the most generous person ever. Thank you so much. She was just on her show, and I know she gave the 19th hole one earlier today as well. So Didi, thank you so much. Eric sending you a signed Frank Gore jersey from a couple weeks ago. So glad that karma can work itself out there.
Beautiful.
All right. And then we got CeeDee Lamb from Chuck, CJ Stroud from Rachel, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Kyler Murray at the 111. That's an interesting pick from Angie, but I think that might be a really sneaky play there. Jamar Chase at the 112. Joe Burrow, she's stacking it up. Wendy, I love that stack, honestly. A Chase and Burrow stack at the turn there. Amon-Ra St. Brown. And now we're seeing the tight end run. Sam LaPorta, 203. Travis Kelce, 204. Eric, how much do you love that stack there, the best ball player in you?
Yeah, I mean that is a stack that I've been making all summer long, right? So sitting there at the 1-2 turn, Wendy now gets an elite wide receiver in Jamar Chase and gets to pair him up with Joe Burrow. I mentioned earlier, right? Like you're trying to win a gigantic tournament. Yeah. So you gotta be able to maximize on those spike weeks. You have to be willing, I should say, to really swing for the fences. And I think that's what Wendy's doing here.
Chuck, what are you doing here at the 206? Bijan Robinson goes right in front of you. Did you want Bijan? Did you want one of the tight ends? And what do you do here at the 206, my friend?
I'm literally getting spit roasted by Eric and Rachel right now. Bijan was my next pick. Wasn't even close. That would have been, I considered taking Bijan over Lamb. Just to call back a little bit, I would have taken Kyler Murray maybe if I was thinking quarterback there. I think that's an excellent little spot. I think he's, as we get more into the summer, he's going to start pumping up his value a little bit more too. Just those kind of players. But you know what? Just because it's getting thrown around here, I'll stack Ola a little bit. I'll go a little Dak CD for some fun.
Oh, okay. I like that. Dak Prescott last year was falling kind of right around that 2-3 turn. And I think he really proved that he was a huge value last season. I know he's very high up in the scoring. So I like that pick a lot there, Chuck. I honestly really like what you're doing there from that 206 slot. Eric, what do you do now at the 27, my friend?
I scroll through as I was also targeting several players that just went off the board. I'm going to go Breece Hall here. Nice. I mean, just an absolute monster of a season. I think we're going to be looking at a world this year for the Jets where his touchdown equity probably comes down a little bit. His touchdown equity goes down a little bit, but the scoring output of this offense is going to walk up by a pretty considerable margin, right? You know, assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy, even if not, their backup in Tyrod Taylor is miles ahead of anyone else they had on that roster last year. So I think the Jets will be scoring real life points more often. Might be a little bit more evenly distributed, but Breece Hall should still eat.
I love it. Five Eyes saying didn't draft a tight end in the first. It's interesting. I think sometimes even like I felt like tight ends almost last year in mock drafts got pushed up a little bit because when I was at the Philly live drafts, Kelce was falling pretty far in the first round, which I was surprised because in all the mocks, he was going somewhere in the first 5 picks most of the time. So interesting to see kind of where those tight ends go. I don't think Kelce or LaPorta, though, get past really probably the 2-6 there. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, Five Eyes, as always. All right, boys, I'm back on the clock here.
Make it hot.
Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Kyle Pitts go. So I'm kind of glad I took Mahomes there because the stack options are gone with Jalen Hurts. I'm in an interesting situation here. because we do have a third round reversal in Scott Fishbowl. It's something to keep in mind that's always a bit tricky. And God damn it, I'm looking at Puka Nacua. I'm staring him down the barrel. I think he's the safest player left. But we do have Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor. I think Taylor would probably be the preferred target in this format due to the carry bonus. So I think I would consider Jonathan Taylor. However, I'm just going to say screw it. I don't know the receivers that are going to come back to me. I am potentially thinking tight end here as well. I wouldn't, roll out of Mark Andrews or Dalton Kincaid, but I'm going to go Puka Nacua. I'm going to keep it safe at the 211. Eric, your thoughts on a little Puka action there for me?
Yeah, I don't mind the pick. I'd probably be looking to click the button pretty similarly, but there are a couple of spots that I would be with the third round reversal. You've got a pick coming up soon enough. So actually, I kind of like going best player available on the front end of a turn like this, and then really trying to address your actual roster needs on the way back around.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Trey McBride going at the 212. So 4 tight ends off the board now in the first 2 rounds. Dick Sickles getting McBride. Chuck, how do you feel through 2 rounds? How do you feel this draft is playing out from a 50-foot level?
I feel pretty good. I think that this is, a lot of the mocks are just, people, they just want to click a player and then watch the chat blow up, right? There's no repercussions. This is kind of, not only is it, a little bit more official with the IBT, but you're streaming it. So everybody wants to, maybe take it a little bit more seriously. It's going about as expected. I will say, if you didn't go wide receiver there, you'd be coming to therapy with me on Monday. Just the way that these bad boys dry up in a lot of these drafts, I just think having at least one tentpole guy is going to feel pretty good.
And this is a format I generally try to fade wide receivers a little bit in the past. I felt like they've kind of been nerfed down, but Scott's kind of done some things as of late that really does make having not only a receiver who's going to get a lot of receptions, but a receiver is going to continue to move the chains and get yards. Very, very valuable in this format. So I did think about Andrews. I did think about Gibbs and JT. They go off the board here. Andrews and Gibbs at the 3-1 and the 3-0-2. Eric, how are we feeling? How are you feeling looking at things holistically? Because I think Chuck's kind of spot on here. No bombshells yet, like no super controversial picks other than Trey McBride. That might be a little frisky. That might be a little frisky at the 212.
I think that's frisky for your liking. I know that you're a little down on Trey McBride, but that's right around ADP. Like I mentioned when we were talking about the format, right? Like this is one that is going to promote a lot of people reaching for tight ends, right? And Trey McBride had a phenomenal year last year, so he's going around where he should. But I tend to agree that, or rather, he went right around where he has been going. But I tend to agree that he's probably going to be in line for a bit of a step back this season.
Yeah, we have some bully tight end action going on right now. Chuck, Kincaid and Kelce going to Erica. She already has Tyreek Hill. I like that start. That's a really cool start.
Yeah, that's hot. It's hot, making me kind of have to pivot a little bit right there. Just the players that are going off the board. I mean, I can't blame the booze on this one, y'all. It's you doing it to me.
IVT family members, they're a smart bunch. Chuck, Jordan Love off the board as well. Tight end and quarterback. Where do you pivot to here?
You know what? I'm going to do something that I haven't been thinking a lot about, but I think it makes more and more sense the more we kind of get into these leagues is... come on, baby. Where'd you go? Oh, I'm losing it here. Come on back. Baby, come back. I have to get in on this guy before everybody else does. Yeah. I wanted some Garrett Wilson. I just, I'm a sucker for these guys who there's not a single other player on the team at the wide receiver or tight end position that I have to, seriously worry about. And in a points per first down league, I just feel super strong about those kind of guys having that season that will push you deeper into November, December, and separate your teams from some of these other, will they, won't they's.
There's a tier break about to come, and Eric, I think you definitely beat it getting Marvin Harrison at the 3-7 to lock down a potential wide receiver 1 there. High upside for Marv, probably definitely lower of a floor than Garrett Wilson being a rookie, but you got to love that pick, my friend. That's a great one.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And that was what informed the decision, right? Kind of scrolling through the wide receiver queue. Everyone that's remaining is kind of a notch below the guys that are already off the board, right? So when you're talking about a snake draft, generally speaking, trying to be at the end of a tier is really where you want to be. So snuck in Maserati Marv should have well over 1,000 yards, assuming he stays healthy this year. So to get that as my wide receiver 1 in the 3rd round is pretty picture perfect.
I'm fucking pumped, honestly, though, how this board is falling back to me. I'm going to be straight up with you boys. I really like what's happening right now.
What are you trying to say about the rest of the mockers in here, huh?
Yeah, right?
No. I think they're great, but Jonathan Taylor's still on the board, and I'm sure Katie will probably take him as she's down there, my wonderful
Stream
girlfriend.
snipe.
Making
Let's
tacos
go.
Some tacos Tuesday. She's whipping up down there as she's doing this mock. So I'm not sure if I'll get sniped from Katie, or maybe she'll do a little auto pick here. We'll see. All right, yeah, JT.
There it is.
JT, yeah. That's a big FU. That's a big FU. I'm afraid to go down and eat dinner after this one, Eric.
You just got Will Levis in the green room, just cameras on, hoping for the pick, and instead it's just
this is my chance. To be fair, had I not already drafted Anthony Richardson, I would probably take Jonathan Taylor over Marvin Harrison. Those two scoring productions just move in entirely opposite directions. But that was a gift for Katie that deep into the 3rd round. It would have been a miracle if he made his way back to you at the 102.
Wendy's saying she waited to make the pick on purpose. Yeah, I was a little ignorant. I was a little fucking ignorant. I'm gonna be honest. I was hoping...
a show woman.
Yeah, and then Evan Ingram. I thought Evan Ingram was going to be like just my little darling this year. I thought no one was going to be on Evan Ingram because Evan Ingram fucking high last year. In the scoring, I think he was. I'll have to look back as I'm talking here, but I think he was a top 10 scorer last year as well. He was really freaking high up. I go with Brock Purdy here. I'm just going to lock down the quarterback too. I'm done playing games. I'm not drafting Daniel fucking Jones this year. I'm trying to Pat Mahomes and Brock Purdy feels really good. And it feels like there's some discount stacking options I can get later on in the draft. So I'm going to take the value on quarterback here. I was hoping maybe ETN would fall back around to me. He didn't. Josh Jacobs also going off the board at the turn here to Dick Sickles. So I'm going to be honest. We just hit a tier at running back. I'm going to pivot away from running back. I think here, Eric, I don't like, I was hoping maybe ETN, maybe Jacobs could fall here. There's Derrick Henry on the board. I'm kind of out on Kyron right now at price. I think I got to pivot back to a wide receiver. Your thoughts?
I'm generally with you. I actually have Derrick Henry in that tier, that last tier of running backs that are still on the board. Kyron Williams, I mean, I don't see how you can click his name and feel good about it just based on his history, based on Sean McVay's history of running these guys into the ground and then just replacing them cold-heartedly. Obviously they bring in Blake Corum, who basically plays the exact same way that Kyron Williams does. So yeah, I mean, he's a player that I've got some exposure to, but it's at a steep discount, and I rarely get to him.
So Albert putting in the chat here, Ayuk for the stack, Seth. Dude, you're definitely right, Albert. You're definitely right. And I think he does stay put altogether. I was on a podcast the other night and was talking. I do think he stays put, but Drake London to me just has too much upside to let go any further. Chuck, your thoughts on the London over Ayuk pick, or do you think you maybe would have pivoted and secured that stack with Purdy?
I just think, specifically right now, we're in a moment of insecurity with the whole Ayuk situation. I mean, a week ago, that might be looking a little bit differently. Now, obviously, that doesn't really affect the whole London situation. We feel really great about London, but it's like, I don't know if I want to be a year early or a year late on the whole Falcons offense finally coming together. I think we all have the scar tissue there. And I know it's not fair to, put the past sins on this teams, but I mean, how many times are these colors going to let you down? But in comparison to Ayuk, of course, I think you're on to more targets, more receptions for first downs. Just because every reception that Brandon Ayuk had was for a first down does not mean that Drake London might not still surpass him in said category.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Eric, you are now just about to be up on the board at the 406. Brock Bowers goes at the 4-3. So we got a triple tight end start here for Sam Wise behind Christian McCaffrey. And then Brandon Ayuk to Katie. Katie's just listening to everything we're saying and absolutely dicking us down here. Eric, your thoughts on what you're hoping happens here for you?
Yeah, it's getting real thin at the tight end spot here. So I think we're going to see a couple of needy picks at the position before long. And also, we need to start feeding Katie misinformation and see if we can't get her to draft players that really should not be drafted where she's on the board. So
the disinformation campaign
that may be the campaign that I kick off here as I am frantically scrolling through my ADP list.
Love it. We got Rachel saying Katie is a sharp drafter. Katie knows her stuff. Katie has to listen to me and the IBT people and read all of our content all the time, and also hear me listen to other people's content all the time as well. Going Jaden Daniels here for Eric. Chuck, where do you go here in the fourth round? You have CeeDee Lamb, you have Dak Prescott, you have Garrett Wilson, so you have a little nice stat going. You don't have a quarterback too, no running back or tight end for you as well, my friend.
Yeah, well, there goes my third snipe in 4 picks. That's just absolutely brutal. I had considered him. I'll be honest, I'd consider him maybe even potentially with my Dak pick if I didn't want to stack just for the high rushing floor and what will be just volume on volume in that Kingsbury offense. That's just an excellent pick right there, especially pair him with Richardson, Eric. That's just as hot as it gets.
So in my mind, I had already crossed off Taylor because of having Richardson. If Harrison wasn't there, I would have totally been down to take him in the prior round, right? I think the PSA here, especially if you're drafting on sleeper, is however sharp a room might be, people tend to follow the order of the list in front of them, right? And Jaden Daniels is way buried on this list as you queue up your players. So especially if you're on the turns, you have some time in between your draft picks. Scroll down and see what gems are there, because there are some players that should not be that far down, but their actual stock, the rate at which they're picked is in fact suppressed based on where they are on that list.
Yeah, that's a big part. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. I think you're absolutely on point. I just wanted to catch some people up on some picks. Stephon Diggs goes at the 405 to Nicolette. And then Eric does make that Jaden Daniels pick. Chuck, you go George Kittle here. Just trying to secure that tight end spot there. Is that the play, or what's the thoughts there on Kittle?
Yeah, that's an evergreen pick. I didn't want to be left out in the cold because it does feel like the drop is coming to where you either get in on one of these guys or you hold off and hope for, a shot in the dark later. Feel pretty good about that. We are, imagine if Ayuk gets traded, that'd be awesome. But Kittle last year, he was the 28th overall scorer. If you were to apply these to last year's settings, you talked about Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was the 6th overall scorer. I mean, you're talking about punching up with a lot of these tight ends. So just feeling about grabbing one last potentially elite guy.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a tier break there, so I don't blame you. Mr. Scamper saying, good spot for Dulcich. Get out of here, Scampers. Get out of here. Stop trying to make Greg Dulcich a thing, please.
Every spot's a good spot for him, so it's an oxymoron.
Derrick Henry, Justin Herbert, Michael Pittman Jr., Jared Goff off the board. Looking at some of these teams right now, I like what Rachel's done from the 108. She's grabbed C.J. Stroud, Bijan Robinson, Jordan Love, Derrick Henry. So very balanced, thinking, hey, the 2 most important positions, their quarterback and their running back, and securing them. So I don't blame that start at all. Finally, Erica grabs a quarterback. Waiting till the 4th round and getting Justin Herbert. I know it's a sketchy offense, Eric. I know Greg Roman's generally a gross offensive coordinator. But to wait into the 4th round, late 4th round, and grab Jay Herbo as QB1 doesn't feel that bad.
Yeah, not at all. In the best ball context, one of the players that I've been getting a ton of, because yes, we will see incrementally more of the run game for the Chargers this year, but I also think we're going to see an overall much more effective offense, right? So like his scoring upside is going to increase. I think we're going to see him push the ball down the field a little bit more, right? Like if you think about those Lamar days when Greg Roman was the OC, wasn't throwing a ton, but he was taking a bunch of deep shots. And obviously that's something that, Herbert has in his locker. He doesn't go there nearly all that much, at least as much as we would like to see. He's a little bit more of, move the chains kind of guy. But look, he can uncork it and get you those splash plays. And, you look at the number of quarterbacks that are off the board for that to be your QB1 after you went bully tight end, after you got Tyreek Hill, one of the top scorers at his position last year, like there, you got to be pretty happy with how this one is coming together for Erica.
Following that, it's Caleb Williams at the 4-12, Kyron Williams at the 5-1, Mike Evans going 5-2, Devon Achane, and Isaiah Pacheco. I was hoping to get that Pacheco and Patrick Mahomes stack, honestly. Tough go to have any options here with Mahomes early. Nico Collins off the board after that. Chuck, you're now on the board at the 5-6. How are the vibes feeling? How's the beer hitting, my friend?
Beer's hitting good. Vibes are feeling good. Team's looking like shit. So I'm trying to figure out how to bounce back here on what can possibly be the best solution. Just a lot of good picks. It's like as soon as I look at a player's name on the board, he just completely flies off the shelf. But I know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go to a guy that's near and dear in my heart, somebody that I think is going to be more heavily involved in the offense than he's getting credit for this offseason. So I'll tank it up.
You came on our podcast, I think, for the first time last year. You talked up Tank Dell. He broke out, and seems like you've been on the train ever since.
I know. What kind of man would I be if I was off just because they signed some, washed up guy from Buffalo or traded for him?
Well, I like it. Eric, what are you doing here right after him? You're at the 5-7. What's the move? What's the strategy here? A lot of good fucking wide receivers on the board. I'm going to be honest. Very tempting.
Yeah, quite a few. This honestly wasn't the direction that I was intending on going, but it has me second guessing the way that I want to go here. I'll reach a little bit by my standards. Another guy that's a bit further down the board, but a little bit higher in ADP, a guy that should be, easily the target leader and target monster for the New York Giants, I should say. Malik Neighbors, probably getting him, I don't know, about 8-10 spots ahead of ADP, but to get a second wide receiver one this deep into the draft is something you can't pass up.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I've noticed about this mock draft and just really this draft season as well, Chuck, is like people are a little more willing to wait on the second quarterback. Like I kind of wanted to play it safe, get Brock Purdy, I think, at the 3-11 there. I think that was a close to a tier break. Maybe Daniels was that QB1 tier break, but everyone else very comfortable. I think rolling one quarterback here.
Yeah, and I think there's just a lot of unknowns and a lot of variability in a lot of the players as soon as you get past, once you get out of that elite tier, you can make a case for as many as, I think, honestly, like 18 guys to finish in any number of different spots. And then, there's personal biases built into certain players, right? Like Aaron Rodgers could be a great value, but he's pretty much rubbed off. Rubbed off might not be the right term. He's rubbed the wrong way about 95% of the drafters. So there's just a lot of opportunity to be had, and especially when you mix in some scoring that nerfs a little bit more of that traditional quarterback play.
Yeah, everybody fucking hates Rodgers, and I'll be honest, he's a great value. I think he's a great value in this format. Sam asking you if you're punting tight end, Eric. Probably not punting tight end, just really how it fell and kind of the tier breaks. You weren't reaching for a tight end.
Yeah, that's really it, right? From the point where we had 7 tight ends off the board in the first 5 rounds, 4.5 rounds. It was pretty clear that I was going to be sifting through and trying to play the tight end lottery. So obviously this mock draft doesn't go quite as long as an actual SFB draft, but by and large in this situation, I'm inclined to pivot and just fire at lottery tickets later in the draft. Let this kind of middle class of the position pass me by.
And Albert, read my mind. Getting that Purdy Devo stack, baby. I like that. I like how that played out. I like that I went Drake London and I was able to get Devo pretty much a full round later. So excited about that. Dame saying finally Waddle goes. Yeah, Jalen Waddle at the 5-8. Like that just proves you don't necessarily need to force a wide receiver early if the tiers don't break. Like if the tiers don't break in your way, and like it's something to keep in mind that at the same time. You got to keep your head on a swivel. You got to be able to make different moves, but definitely, don't reach past what you're comfortable reaching for as well. Speaking of such, looks like we just have, I don't want to call it a reach, but I'm going to call it a reach. We got Dick Sickles here at the 5'12", going Marvin Mims, and then Rashid Shaheed at the 6'1".
There's the answer. He's
So,
going after return guys, right?
Yep.
so is Marvin Mims a prolific returner? Because I know he's a speed demon. I know he's a fucking stud as far as the wheels are concerned. But to go at the 5'12", that's fucking ballsy, Chuck.
Yeah, it's probably just like that's the high variability of a guy who might be starting for them combined with might be returning kickoff. So you're just trying to find that sweet spot. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had some pretty good return numbers last year, but like who the hell was paying attention to them until right now? So, he just wants his 15 minutes of fame. He wants to take Mims. He wants to take Rashid. He wants the flex. Hope he's feeling better.
I'm going to finally draft my first running back as well. I'm going to go James Cook there. I think James Cook at the 6'2", that feels really good. I think one thing I learned from this mock draft, Eric, is I don't mind waiting on running backs. James 6'2", feels fucking nice. That feels real nice. Like I would have loved if Pacheco would have fell and I could have got maybe a little Chief stack, but 6'2" for still who I consider like the end of the RB1 tier, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think your broader point hits, right? Like you can wait at the running back position, at least in this room. James Cook isn't exactly my cup of tea. I think he's fine, right? But there are a couple of players in this format in particular that I would take ahead of him, right? But to your overarching point, like being able to get a starting caliber RB1 caliber guy into the 6th round is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, James Cook might take a little bit of a ding just because he in this scoring because he doesn't get a shit ton of carries. Like I was also looking at Kenneth Walker if Cook was gone. That was someone I think in this scoring who I'm actually raising up a little bit because I think he is gonna get well over 200 carries again this season. So I like Walker. Katie's just absolutely fucking cleaning up the wide receiver position. Her team, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, got that Eagle stack. Jonathan Taylor, Ayuk, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. Holy shit, Chuck. I think I'm in love.
Yeah,
How
did we all get cucked in our own mock? I don't know what happened here. We're just getting beaten, slept around like rag dolls. I mean, I think there's also, that's just a lot of guys that, there's a lot of receivers this year that are kind of like the new hotness. And a lot of the guys she picked are maybe viewed by some as like the old and busted, when in reality, they're some of the best values on some of the best offenses in the league. So that's just pretty stuff.
Jeremy thrown out here. Mike Clay projections have Mims as the number 2 player in Scott Fishbowl scoring this year. I'll say what, like, freaking Scott got talked in live on air when he was releasing the scoring to boost their scoring even a little bit more as well. So yeah, I don't hate that at all. Kenneth Walker goes here, and then Eric, you finally take a tight end, Dave Njoku at the 6'6". I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, he's really the last guy that I would consider before just entirely punting on the position.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of his productivity came off the golden immaculate arm of Joe Flacco, who's no longer in town. But if nothing else, I think his role in the offense largely remains unchanged, right? So,
yeah.
As I think about kind of speculating in the tight end market, having a guy that I think can get me pretty consistent productivity is a thing of value right now. I know I'm at least not getting lapped by the field at the position, and I can go, buy a couple of scratch off tickets.
There you go. Devonta Smith, Jaden Reed, DK Metcalf, and Rachaad White coming off the board next. Curious to see what Angie does here at the turn. She's got a pretty nice team going. Kyler Murray, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, Mike Evans, and now Jake Ferguson. I think she heard what Eric said, and hey, I don't want to get lapped by the field at tight end. I want to at least put up some points in that position every single week. So Angie taking the shot on Jake Ferguson. Balance. That's what I see when I look at Angie's team here, Chuck, is a lot of balance.
Yeah, Angie's list is rocking pretty strong, and I think that's kind of what you got to do in some of these tournaments is that you're going to see so much volatility in teams that really just like taking as many shots that you can at raising your floor for your team, injuries notwithstanding, that's going to be as good of a shot as you have as pushing far. Now, obviously, there's a lot of picks left to go, so you can still get funky with it, but just having all your bases covered is never a bad way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then at the turn here, Wendy, she grabs Alvin Kamara's her RB2. She is Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Mark Andrews, Caleb Williams, Kyron Williams, and then she's going to go Kamara there. Let's see what else she does here on the turn. Overall, Chuck, how do you feel about Caleb Williams? Are you willing to take the shot on the rookie quarterbacks this season after getting burned a year ago? I know, like Anthony Richardson was there. He had the production early, but just got hurt. Are you willing to take the shot?
I'm willing to take the shot depending on like what he is going to be for my team and what other options are available on the board. I think a big part of what they're going to try to do with him this year is not really unleash him, just kind of make sure that his game fits, not that his game won't, but just adapt him to the pros quickly and just really, live up to some version of the hype. And I don't think in this scoring format that's tremendously beneficial when you look at what some of the other guys can do. And how much of an emphasis I think they're still going to have on a pretty good running back group there. So,
Okay.
like him, but he's in that like Jared Goff Tua range of guys where it's like, next, please, for this format.
Okay. I like it. Zay Flowers, Joe Mixon, Keenan Allen coming off the board next here. And honestly, like, I really feel like the tight end well is drying up. I'm not feeling great about it, boys. I feel like there's still like a lot of decent wide receivers. If you want to take your shot on someone like an Amari Cooper, a George Pickens, a T Higgins, I like the wide receivers kind of falling in this range. Trevor Lawrence going off the board to 7-4 there too, kind of shows. I mean, God damn, that's some good value there, boys. That is some good
That's a
value
snipe.
on T-Law. Wow. Chuck, so you were looking at T-Law there, huh?
Yeah, I'm getting absolutely just torched right now. I mean, I like the Njoku pick a lot. That would have probably been my next pick, honestly. And then you come back around in this last round, guys from Flowers to Mixon to Keenan Allen to Lawrence, just all super hot picks, and just goes to show the value you can get late, and really makes you, no matter what strategy you use, you're kind of always opened up to a new one every time you do one of these mocks.
Eric, what are you doing here at the 7-7? Looks like Terry McLaurin's the pick for you. Explain the rationale. Hero running back seems like the strategy you're taking on that side of the ball.
Yeah, by and large, the aforementioned running backs that I would have taken ahead of James Cook all went off the board: Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, and Joe Mixon. So, had one of them made their way back around, I would have given a long look to picking up one of them. McLaurin, he is actually fourth on my list, but want to try to get some correlation with Jaden Daniels, and I don't think that he was going to make his way back around, so I had to reach a little bit to get him.
Yeah, I honestly don't mind the hero running back in this format. I think obviously running backs are going to get a ton of carries, but there's still the volatility of a running back potentially being injured and you losing that. And last year, whether it was Jerome Ford or some of these other running backs who kind of came onto the scene late due to injury of Devin Singletary, there were options on the waiver wire. You really had to dig pretty deep, but you could have potentially come out with someone. All right, Tua Tagovailoa going off the board. Dallas Goedert. I was considering Dallas Goedert not having a tight end here. Amari Cooper next off the board. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to keep pounding wide receiver. I think there's value at it. T. Higgins is the pick for me at the 7-11. Chuck, any thoughts on T. Higgins here? Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper. Do you have a favorite kind of receiver in this range? There's still some other good ones on the board. Pickens is on the board as well. Odunze, Hollywood Brown.
I love that Higgins pick. I think he is, I'm just a sucker for guys in contract years. You throw a healthy Joe Burrow back into the mix, and also not really anything else has changed there other than maybe a reshuffled running back room, which is really only going to be better. Higgins has burned me probably about as much as any receiver has over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that's when you have to show growth as an individual and put that 12-step program to work and really look at like the talent, the opportunity, and what he's going to be rewarded for. And he is the chain mover in that offense. He can do a little bit of everything, sure, but he really is the guy that, when they need that big third down, they're going to go to him. So I think his value is one of the best on the board. 7-11 is insane for a guy that just within the last couple of years has been more likely to go kind of in that Diggs, Ayuk, London range.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Boys, I'm at a full okay. Yeah, I didn't like that pick at all. I just went George Pickens for my 5th wide receiver. I honestly wanted a running back there. I wanted to talk it out with you guys. But I didn't feel great about any of these running backs, honestly. Ramondre, David Montgomery, James Conner, Najee, like that's kind of the range we're in. I talked about Najee on a recent podcast. I don't hate Najee this year at the price tag. I like David Montgomery, but in this scoring, I don't think he's going to get as many carries as he did a year ago. So I'm a little bit down on him. Eric, your thoughts on kind of this running back group that we're looking at right now in these like low end RB2s?
Yeah, this is where it gets kind of tricky, right? Like to your point about hero running back earlier, from really this point forward, I think if you haven't been adding running backs quite yet, as Katie takes the only player I was hoping would fall to me, Ramondre Stevenson. I think you really have to take a long, hard look at just punting on the position and going platoon in the later rounds, right? Like,
but what if there was one more guy?
But what if there was one more guy?
What if there was one more guy, and what if you sniped him from me right now?
Well, now I'm going to try to snipe him from you, and that makes me feel like I'm going to make a bad decision. So I don't know if I will. Actually, I think I might know who this player is. I'm gonna do this for the brand in hopes that this is the one guy. This is not where I would pick this player, but I will also never be drafting one spot in front of Chuck Bass. So we're gonna go with who I think is the guy, Jonathan Brooks.
Oh, thank God! Thank God! Whew. I was gonna tell you it rhymes with Kevin Dingleberry, but then that would have been a lie because that's not the player.
What are we thinking here, Chuck? You're up at the 807. What's the move? Are you going? You have no running backs, Chuck. You're completely saying fuck running backs right now. What's behind that strategy, and what's the pick here?
Well, I'm going to take the projected carries leader for 2024 in Zeus White.
I was looking at him too.
Give it to me all day and give it to me now. It's really shocking. There's so many the fantasy football community has been so adept at recognizing guys before they break out and kind of pushing their value up to where they might be, except for this guy right here. And I don't really see any reason why not. And that's not really a knock around the guys going around. Ramondre would have been great. Swift, Mixon, Jones, Kamara, all these guys have tremendous value. But as far as just a point per carry, picking up first downs, churning out touchdowns, I just love his projected volume work there.
Nicolette saying no tight end gang. Yeah, I fucked up, Nicolette. I like having tight ends in Scott Fishbowl. I usually go pretty tight end heavy, as you kind of saw in my last year's draft. But it's just, how it falls to you sometimes. I had one guy in front of me, who obviously Sam, who took 3 tight ends, back to back, which kind of put a hurting on the position there. So tough. We have this running back 2 tier kind of rounding us out here in the 8th round.
Seth, look at this tight end island that Sam is on over here. He basically just went bully at the position. Everyone around him's like, all right, I'm out of the tight end game.
Oh yeah. Katie didn't take one till the 7th round with Goddard. Nicolette didn't take one, and when people go bully tight end, like that is kind of the strategy, right, Eric? Like when I go up against Sam in this league, if this were a real league, same with Nicolette, we're getting bullied right out of that fucking position. Like Sam has a huge increase on us.
And I mean, look, like part of the best way to advance in the playoffs is to make the playoffs. So if you're kind of quartering the market in your particular division on tight end, like obviously you're limiting the upside of the teams around you, the teams that you're competing against. So it's definitely a strategy that I think has the promise to be effective. I think it's one that we're going to see a lot of people implement. And just look at the board around Sam. There's like 4 tight ends and 4 picks in any direction.
Yeah. We'll round out this draft here. Last players off the board here. Hollywood Brown, the 8-9. 8-10 is Matthew Stafford. Deontay Johnson, 8-11. Nick Chubb at the 8-12. We'll round it out. Just give him some thoughts on our team. I'll kick us off just by saying that definitely don't love my running back position or my tight end position. I think if this was a real draft, I'd be a little more in tune, I hope, and not just trying to manage the show and manage everything happening in the chat, but definitely let those positions slide a little more than I'm comfortable with, especially with you going Jonathan Brooks and Zeus White. I thought maybe one of those guys could slide back to me here a whole round later, but wasn't so fortunate there. I really like Mahomes and Purdy. I like having that stability at quarterback. I think I have a shit ton of wide receiver upside. And I'm cool with James Cook as the RB1 at the 6'2". But overall, definitely some things I have to correct here as I move throughout the offseason and get closer to Scott Fishbowl 14 live. Eric, your thoughts on your team here drafting from the 106 position, my friend?
Yeah, pretty happy with how this one played out, honestly. I went Brooks a little bit earlier than I would have intended, trying to snipe Chuck one more time. Honestly,
Yeah.
I probably would have gone Rashee Rice there had I not been looking to play the villain. But yeah, being able to stack up two of the most dynamic quarterbacks in terms of their skills on the ground is exactly what I'm going for. Rounding this out, I would probably look to add like a TJ Hawkinson and several other like 3 yards and a cloud of dust type of tight ends to kind of smooth out that position. But all told, what is this? 8 rounds? I feel pretty happy with how these 8 came together.
Chuck, your thoughts on your team drafting from the 107. You waited a long time on running back. You grabbed Zamir White as that RB1. Still no quarterback 2 for you as well, but pretty secure at the tight end position with a Kittle and a Freiermuth. You have CeeDee Lamb, you have Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, and Tank Dell. So much upside in your wide receiver room, and secure at the QB1 with Dak Prescott as well, my friend.
Yeah, this draft is Roger Goodell certified. This is the greatest team. This is the greatest team that anybody's ever mocked. There's no doubt about it. I've got 4 of the top 5 wide receivers, the quarterback 1, 2 top 5 tight ends, and then the running back 1 overall. Pat Freiermuth, Arthur Smith, and tight ends are synonymous with great success. George Kittle feel like another healthy 17 games. We can all count on that always. Just rock solid. I've got a long night ahead of me.
Fuck yeah. Well, we appreciate it. We're going to go ahead. We're going to round out the show. I'm going to see if I can get one of the IBT people, one of our writers to write this up on the site. So maybe we can get some more insight from them. Maybe they can even rank the teams, do a little power ranking. Let Chuck know, hey, you were the one, the best team, or hey, Eric, pick it up a little bit here, bud. But we're going to round it out with a new segment, a little off the top. But before then, Eric, we're going to let you sign off. I know you have some other obligations to get to tonight. So, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. We appreciate you as always, brother.
Yeah, these are always fun. Shout out Erica. Actually, I think she won the draft. So nice little day in the office there from, what is that, the 110, 109?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think Erica, I think I would give her the edge. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Kelce, Kincaid, Jay Herbo, and T-Law, and she was waiting on quarterback. Sniped me on Pacheco. Yeah, good looks, Erica. Good fucking looks.
Shout out.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to round it out here with a little off the top, and we're going to bring Kyle Scott in to do a little hosting here.
Just a little off the top, ain't talking about a fade or a crop. Steady hand, know when to stop. Just a little off the top, whoa, easy now.
All right, it's just a little off the top. It's our newest segment here on the program. This is our Cut One game. It's going to be fantasy football questions, NFL gambling questions, and some pop culture and lifestyle related questions. And to do it, we got Kyle Scott here hanging out with us. Kyle, how was the first half of the program for you, man? Are you ready for a little off the top, newest segment on the program?
Oh, I'm ready for a little off the top. As you can see, yeah, this game is fun as hell. It's perfect for the podcast. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are as excited as I am.
Yeah, and Kyle, you're heading up. You're going to get a haircut on Saturday. Yeah. Kyle drives 2 hours for his haircut, all the way back to my hometown that Kyle has no relation to, but met my barber, who's one of my best friends as well. So, Kyle, I'm going to be seeing you on Sunday. You're going to get a little haircut. We're going to play a little disc golf, have a couple adult beverages as well. I'm looking forward to it, my friend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Not anyone gets to touch this hair. It is a privilege and an honor, and I will travel as far as I need to make sure that it comes out just right, the way that Noah does me. So let's get into the.
You guys have a special relationship here. I might just unplug my mic and watch. It's just too good.
That's all right. Couple shouts before we jump in the chat. Rachel saying Chuck forgot to take Carr. No Derek Carr for you, Chuck. What happened, man?
My models told me that Derek Carr is the worst quarterback that's ever played in the history of football, and it's charted over 240 quarterbacks. So that's going to be a no-go for me.
Okay. Andrew saying, wow, it's really football season. We're getting there, buddy. We're getting there. Good to see you, Andrew. Thanks for tuning into the program, my man. Didi saying, Kyle, my man. All the love for Kyle in the chat. And even another super chat from Didi. Didi, I hope your husband doesn't see your bank statements because she's going to see in between media and be like, what is going on here? What's going on here? But we greatly appreciate it. Either way, you're the GOAT, Didi. Kyle, start us off, man. What's happening here from off the top? What are we getting into?
Yeah, so I'm going to be giving you 3 options. You got to cut one. All right. So we're going to start something real light, something real fun. You got to cut one of the following fast food chicken sandwiches, boys. All right. Your Chick-Fil-A original, your Popeyes crispy chicken, or that KFC. What are we thinking, Seth?
Oh,
I know you're a
man.
huge chicken sandwich fan.
I
You're
am.
always eating them.
I am.
Always
I'm
eating them cluckers, as you call them.
chicken sandwich over burger any day. Take my money. I don't care. It might be a hot take. Chicken sandwich over burger. Got to keep Popeyes in. Popeyes is fantastic. I think Popeyes is the 101 of spicy chicken sandwiches. It might be a little sketchy when you go in there. You know, you never know what's going to happen at a Popeyes, but fucking good sandos over there. Same with Chick-Fil-A. Not open on Sundays. That's going to dock you a little bit in my standings because Sundays, sometimes when I want a little chicken sando, I'm on the road coming back from travel. No go there from Chick-Fil-A, but they're good enough. KFC here. They have very mid chicken sandwich for having chicken in their name. So I'll go KFC. I'm going to cut chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken here. Chuck, your thoughts?
Well, I go to work in the town Corbin, Kentucky, where the original KFC was founded. So I'm contractually obligated by, I think, by the state of Kentucky and by Whitley County to not cut KFC and or expect more taxes docked from my paycheck. I'm cutting Popeyes here. Never quite did it for me. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I might have potentially been sexually accosted in the bathroom there one time. Chick-fil-A is just the staple. People love to bash it, and they bring their PR campaign deserves some good bashing now and then.
Sure.
But it's just always
dog
there
shit
for
commercials.
Dog shit. They're always there for you when you need it, though, except for Sunday. So maybe I have to walk that one back. So Popeyes for me.
Okay, all right. Wow, that's an ignorant take, but I respect it nonetheless. Nicolette saying KFC out for me. Popeyes for sure for Didi. Didi, you know I love you. What are you doing over there? What are you doing with that take? Kyle, where do you stand on the chicken sandwich, and where do you stand on the chicken sandwich as a whole? Because I don't really see you too often when we're going out, like looking on the menu for a crispy chicken sandwich.
I'm a big crispy chicken sandwich fan. I do enjoy a good crisper, a good clucker.
Clucker.
You know, so I'm not as much of a connoisseur as you. I can't list off my top 12
Wow.
crispy
Okay.
chicken sandwiches per se. But out of these 3, I do know what I like. Chick-fil-A, as Chuck said, is definitely the staple. You always really know what you're getting from Chick-fil-A, I think. Popeyes, I love Popeyes.
Thank you.
I really, really like Popeyes.
Thanks.
And KFC, I think the vibe is much worse at KFC than Popeyes because the employees are also working at a Papa John's, at a Pizza Hut,
or a Taco Bell.
On Silver's, a Taco Bell.
A&W. Yep.
A&W. They don't want to be there. So I'm cutting KFC.
That's a good take. That's a good take, honestly. Yeah. I don't know why KFC always gets the shit end of the stick, and they're in some truck stops, but Dame agreeing with you here, saying KFC is the clear cut here. Also, Jack in the Box spicy chicken sandwich is good too, though. Do we have Jack in the Box anywhere near us? Kyle, I don't even think I've ever.
That's a West Coast thing.
Do you have Jack in the Box, Chuck? You're in Midwest. You got Jack over there?
No, that's like Texas South and then West Coast, like he said. You don't really. Maybe there's like a pop-up one here and there for some meth addicts or something, but otherwise not too much.
All right. Popeyes over Chick-fil-A for the accessibility and still damn good. Thank you, Dame. I knew I liked Dame. She won our other giveaway on the NASCAR side of things last week. So appreciate Dame weighing in. Sven saying Culver's is good. Zaxby's. We had a Zaxby's like a couple minutes from my house in State College down on campus. Never went there, so couldn't tell you. So also Angie saying you're not missing anything in Jack in the Box. All right, little shade there for some Jack. Kyle, take us out of chicken sando talk here, man. What else do we have for a little off the top?
Yeah, we'll hop into some fantasy football, as is the show. We're going to cut one of the following end of bench dynasty running backs. All right, we got Miles Sanders, Jamaal Williams, and our boy AJ Dillon. Chuck, how are you feeling about this?
I'm taking KFC over all three of these guys. I'm cutting them all. I love Jamaal Williams. He is the superstar in our hearts that we all love and deserve. The sound clip king. Got me through some hard times, so he is the man. And AJ Dillon, Quadzilla. I mean, the guy, how many mascots does he have to knock over before he gets the opportunity that we really want him to have? So I'll take Miles Sanders, and I'll just pretend that he never existed. Lobotomy, amnesia pills, whatever you guys want. It's Chuba season, Jonathan Brooks season, Miles Sanders season's done.
Wow. Hashtag we are. I am contractually obligated to go and say, hey, Miles Sanders, he still got a little bit of juice left. Just a bad situation. Still making a shit ton of money. Just a bad situation there, Chuck. This is the heir apparent to Saquon Barkley. Let's not forget about that.
You need to review that contract.
Yeah, that's true. He could be a cut at some point. Jamaal Williams, gotta love the vibes of this guy though. I love the cut of his jib. And did anyone expect him though to go from leading the league in rushing touchdowns to last season just absolutely being atrocious? That was a total bummer, I thought, on all levels. Finally got his touchdown the last game of the year. Jameis Winston had to defy coach's orders to get him in. So I think Jamaal Williams has a little bit of juice. It's AJ Dillon for me. I think that I'm cutting here, Kyle and Chuck. I just don't know where you go. You have a workhorse and Josh Jacobs on the team. They just drafted a day 2 running back in Marshawn Lloyd, maybe a day 3 running back. I think it was 4th round now thinking back at it. But yeah, I just don't have much faith in AJ Dillon. Angie saying in the chat here, Kyle, do we have to cut just one? These are roster clogging running backs. Like you're holding on to them because they all have a chance of being relevant at some point. But goddamn, it's sketchy here for sure.
It's sad.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kyle, what else? Round us out here. One more question for the night, my friend.
Yeah, we got one more summer themed question for you guys. A really fun one I think you're going to like. So you have to cut one of the following summer anthems. We got the 80s classic Boys of Summer by Don Henley out of the Eagles. And then we got Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift. New classic, some may say. And then All Summer Long by the Motor City Kid himself, Kid Rock. Seth, you love all 3 of these songs. I can see it in your face. What are you thinking? You got to cut one.
Yeah, so I have a summer playlist, and a lot of the songs on there have summer in the name. And all 3 of these are on the playlist. They're all fucking summer jams. Let's be honest here, boys. Don Henley, The Boys of Summer has to stay. Like there's no discussion from me there. Talk about like a song that should just be more places today, whether that's in movies, whether that's on fucking TikTok. I don't care. I don't hear enough Boys of Summer in my life, and nothing gets me going like that little intro. Like I just need that little good, like almost kind of like reminiscent of the Top Gun theme as well. So yeah, fucking give me Don Henley, Boys of Summer. I'm keeping that, and I'll be straight too. Like, didn't know Cruel Summer until last year. Taylor Swift re-released it. It was on the radios everywhere. And she also performed it in front of my own eyes down at Ackshire Stadium there in the Berg when I was a couple beer skis deep. And I fucking loved it. She's got that one bridge in there that, you know, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sing it. I won't do it justice. But something about being in the back of the car crying on the way home back from the bar. So it's a jam. I fucking love it. Sorry, Kid Rock. I'm eliminating you here and all summer long. Just a little bit cheesy for me. Chuck, your thoughts here on some summer anthems?
That's pretty tough. So I'll go from yes to no like you did. Boys of Summer, is never going anywhere. It should
Thank
never
you.
be cut from any list that's ever been happening.
Thank you.
It's just our anthem. It's what we need. I love the idea of Kid Rock, even if I don't love him as a person. He's just him existing is just too important for me to really cut all summer long, even though it is admittedly pretty cheesy. So Cruel Summer, I've never even heard it. If it's not the Bananarama song, then I don't want any business with it. I don't need to see Taylor Swift dancing like somebody gave her aspirin, or somebody gave her Molly, but it's actually aspirin. She's just out there doing some weird stuff, and I'm not into it. So that'll have to be the knock for me.
Wow. Swifties are going to be coming for Chuck and his DMs for sure. That's a fan. You've pissed off a lot of fan bases over the years, Chuck. That's one you did not want to just piss off, my friend.
I mean, they can come for me all they want, but I've got Roger Goodell on my side. I don't need anybody else.
All right. Kyle, your thoughts here on some summer jams?
If you don't like Boys of Summer, I don't like you. All right?
Yeah.
That's staying easiest stay of all time. I wanted to mention Bananarama's Cruel Summer, but
what is that? What is this? What is everyone?
Song.
Cancel this, man.
Bananarama's a band from the 80s.
Okay.
And they made a song called Cruel Summer, and it is so much better than the Taylor Swift one. I listened to them today in prep, and dude, it doesn't even, Taylor Swift doesn't hold a candle to Bananarama. It's not even close. No,
Wow.
no chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know. I'm sure I've heard this song, but I don't know it to just the name
throw
of
it
it.
on. You'll recognize it from movies, shows. It's in the zeitgeist. You'll pick it up immediately.
Okay. Maybe I fucked up here on the question, but a lot of disrespect right now going around for Taylor Swift. So you guys can back up a little bit here. I'm going to be drafting Kelce everywhere. I'm going to be jamming T Swift once again this year. Dame saying, do we get the Atari's version of Boys of Summer too? Is this something I never had an Atari? So or wait,
showing up.
Is this a band? This is a band Ataris, or is this the console Atari? What's going on here, Chuck?
It's kind of like the punk / alt rock version of Boys of Summer. It's not bad, and it's a hilarious that it gets a shout out. So Dame showing up and showing out, good stuff.
Is that like the punk goes pop? Is that what that is? Pretty much like the punk goes pop version of that.
Something like that.
All right. Guys, we greatly appreciate it. Kyle, I think the first segment was a pretty good run for a little off the top. What do you think, man?
Oh, this is signs of good times ahead, my friend. This is going to be a great segment.
All right. It's going to be a great segment. It's going to be a great summer as well. Chuck, thanks so much for taking up about 80 minutes of your day tonight. We appreciate it so much. Tell us where we can find you and how we can best support you throughout the remainder of the offseason and into the 2024 fantasy football season, my friend.
Oh, guys, this is a blast. This is one of my favorite shows to come on. You guys have such great vibes. You do such a good job. So always just a pleasure and an honor to be here. You guys can find me at the This Guy Sucks podcast. A little bit of a hiatus. I just had my first child 6 weeks ago. But
congrats, bro. Congrats.
I appreciate you. And everybody can support me, cash, checks, traveler's bonds, anything like that would be greatly appreciated. Venmo, anything. Venmo's a little too traceable, but you guys know how it goes. But no, just go on there, check things out, having fun on Twitter and all the good stuff.
Hell yeah. We appreciate it so much, Chuck. Good luck with the little one. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Good luck in Scott Fishbowl. Hopefully it goes. Honestly, I liked your team better than mine. So hopefully it goes as well, if not a little bit better here in Cincinnati in a couple weeks for you, man.
I appreciate that. It'll depend on the bartender, but we'll see.
There we go. Hopefully she's making a couple stiffies over there for Chuck. Guys, easiest way to support Kyle and myself here is subscribe to the channel. If you guys are new, give this video a thumbs up as well. Thank you all for so much for tuning in with us. We'll catch you next time. Until then, you know what to do. Keep it in between. Thank you.